What type of exposures to asbestos did plumbers have? Hi, I'm Joe Williams. I'm a mesothelioma trial attorney in New York City, and I want to talk to you about the type of exposures that plumbers faced every day of their working life. In order to talk about this, it's probably easiest if I talk to you about a former client of mine. Now, this former client was a plumber, a professional plumber, and member of Local 1, which is the plumbing union here in New York. And this former client did mostly commercial work. Because he was a union plumber, the nature of his work would be that he would work for a particular contractor for perhaps 3 weeks, doing a particular job at a large commercial structure in New York City. And then he would be assigned to a different job, a different contractor for maybe 6 months. And then he would go to a different contractor for maybe 3 weeks. And this went on and on for his 30-year career as a plumber. And generally, working in large commercial buildings, this former client of mine had exposures to large industrial heating equipment. And that meant that he was exposed to large boilers, big boilers, that generated hot water and power for large commercial structures in New York City. He was exposed to large steam pipes carrying very, very intense hot steam. He was exposed to the asbestos that was put on those steam pipes. He was exposed to the asbestos cement that was installed to the outside of these large boilers. In addition, he was involved in building fire chambers inside these large boilers using asbestos-containing fire brick and using refractory cement inside the boilers. He also worked on pumps that moved hot liquids, mostly water, circulating pumps, which were insulated with asbestos and also had asbestos components on the inside, such as packing and gaskets, which he worked with. Now, those are the types of exposures that plumbers face in a commercial setting. There's a lot of plumbers I've represented over the years who did only residential work in homes. And the exposures are very similar, but the equipment is smaller. So there would be boilers, of course, which generated the same hot water and heat for a home. These smaller residential boilers were insulated on the exterior. There was asbestos gaskets used in conjunction with these boilers. The piping in these systems were often insulated with asbestos. The circulating pumps had asbestos packing and asbestos gaskets as well as asbestos cement used with them. And also some of these residential boilers did have fireboxes which had asbestos brick and refractory inside of them. So whether it was commercial work, such as a union plumber, or residential work, which many plumbers did as well, the exposures to asbestos came in the form of asbestos cement, gaskets and packing, refractory, and fire brick. Why am I telling you this? Because you have questions about how plumbers and other workers were exposed to asbestos. I encourage you to pick up the phone and call the number listed below, and we will answer your questions. We represent victims of asbestos exposure and those who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma every day. It's what we do every day, and we're here. We'll answer your questions. Thank you.